guys, welcome to episode 28 of Tiger Heart Chats. I'm back at ISE in Barcelona again. They called me back. I don't know why. I think it's because I've got a pretty face, which is always nice, always helpful. I've got an amazing guest for you guys today. She's someone that I've worked with for a long time. We haven't seen each other for a few years, and I've been watching her for the last few years, just seeing her just grow as a professional. She's really inspiring. She's really wonderful. I'm sure you guys that are listening are going to get a lot from this podcast. She's looking at me really nervous. Please welcome to the stage, Andreea Timis.
Hi Sanj. It's nice to see you.
How you doing? You all right?
Yes, thank you.
Don't be nervous. It's all good. It's all good. Bring the mic a little bit closer to you, just a tiny bit. Yeah, so we get your oh, you got it. You got it. Yeah. It's just one of those things. We're doing a podcast, and it's a bit of a kind of rickety setup, but it's a cool setup. And the guy that's doing this is doing a great job. So, Andreea, we haven't seen each other for a while. You're now at LED Studios, is that right?
Yeah.
And you're the commercial director for EMEA, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's going to be people that are listening that don't know much about you. Tell us about yourself, like where you're from, what you're doing, that type of stuff.
Sure. So I am originally from Romania, and I moved to London. I went there to complete my degree, and ended up living in London for about 12 years at the time. And it was, a really fantastic opportunity and just amazing time to study and live and work in London, at that age. So it was a really lovely experience.
And then how did you get into AV?
During my university degree, I met one of the directors of Musion 3D, which are known as the world leaders on 3D holographic projections technology based on Pepper's Ghost. He sort of inspired me about the potential of the technology. So I started with an internship, which sort of materialized in a part-time role during my studies, and I sort of became Musionized and sort of became part of the Musion family. It was just a really exciting time because we had all these people flying in from all over the world. I mean, you remember those times, Sanj, where we were at Portland Place, and people were coming in to see the tech, and seeing people's reaction to the technology where they hadn't seen a hologram before, and you switch it on, and everyone was like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm actually looking at this thing," and it just got me really, really excited.
So before that, did you work in AV before?
No.
And you didn't know much about the industry before?
No, nothing at all. I never planned to get into AV. I was doing a finance degree, actually.
Wow.
So it was a completely different industry I just ended up in AV because I got so excited about this holographic technology, really.
So, it's interesting because the AV industry is massive. I mean, we're at ISE now, and ISE is huge. It's like there's so many businesses here coming here to see what's new, what's exciting, lots of people doing deals. And the same for me. I mean, we met whilst working at Musion. I didn't know anything about the AV industry, and when I was introduced to it, it made me realize that the world needs AV. So it's wonderful. And so you were there for, how long were you at Musion for?
I think it was about 10 years with about a couple of years break at some point when I decided to move from London to Cyprus, and I had my daughter.
Wow.
So I took 2 years out. I wasn't really planning to return to Musion and to the AV industry. And sort of 2 years after having my daughter, Musion got in touch with me asking me whether I wanted to do some remote work for them from Cyprus. And that became another sort of long journey. And I ended up working for about another 5 or 6 years for them.
Wow. And this was, they approached you pre-pandemic. So you were kind of working remotely before the norm, I guess. Yes,
exactly. So it's very much sort of, the digital nomad trend. So I was working from home from Cyprus for a UK business delivering projects globally pre-pandemic, and it was very normal for us, and we really got used to it. So when the pandemic came, it was just a business as usual for us. And it was really great, because one day we'd talk to someone in Mexico, and, the next day we'd talk to someone in Europe. They wanted to do a product launch. And then another day we'd talk to someone in the US that wanted to do, a big entertainment show. So it was such a varied and, exciting experience. It was just really nice working from home. And yeah.
And so how did you transition from working from Musion into LED Studio? Like how did that occur?
There was a point where the Pepper's Ghost technology progressed from using projection to LED. So we used to project Pepper's Ghost holograms with super heavy projectors that had to be rigged up into the ceiling. All of the all of the drama on site during a show where you've got to get this a super heavy projector up and then getting it at the right angle and all of that. And also you had to build these holograms in relatively dark environments, which had quite a lot of limitations because, it's high tech, but you don't want to go into something that looks like a dark theater, So eventually we started using LED and I started seeing the potential of LED, which I hadn't realized up until that point. And then working with LED made me... it's just, the innovation that happens and seeing the people that work in the LED industry and, the LED business, it got me really excited. So I've decided to make a big change. And at the time, the LED studio were looking at expanding into the EMEA territory. So they've been growing through some really fast growth recently. I don't think I've said this, but the LED Studio is a British business.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about LED Studio.
Sure, yeah. So the LED Studio is a British brand of LED, and they specialize in sustainable and sustainable LED solutions, which is quite important for the industry at the moment. So they were looking at expanding into the EMEA. And with me being based in Cyprus, the location was perfect because I was sort of in the center between the Middle East and Europe. And it sort of all worked out really well. So I took on the role of commercial director at the LED studio and currently sort of building out the team. I'm at the moment building out a team in Dubai.
Wow.
So we've got a sales director who actually started 2 days ago and I'm very excited about. And we're looking at the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait and Saudi as sort of our primary areas of focus and then expanding a little bit further. And once we get the Middle East operations running as we wanted to, then we'll be looking towards Europe. So
Nice. So you're commercial director of EMEA, which is amazing. Congratulations. How long have you been at the LED studio for?
I've joined in March last year.
Okay. So lots of growth really quickly. So it'll be like a year next month.
Yes.
Talk to us about because you guys won quite a few awards at the Inavate Awards last night in Barcelona. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, sure. So we've yesterday we won the Digital Signage Product of the Year award at the AV News Awards. So that was yesterday morning for our Aegis Pro kiosk, which is a self-contained indoor and outdoor use kiosk, which is kind of an industry first because it's outdoor, narrow pitch, high brightness kiosk.
Wow.
So it's pretty much a plug and play solution that delivers up to 4,000 nits in brightness. And it's super sustainable and eco-friendly because of the way that it's designed and the amount of power that it uses. But it can also be solar panel assisted.
Nice.
So the solar panel can generate up to sort of 6 to 8 hours of running, per day. And then yesterday evening we went to the Inavate Awards at the Museum of Art. And which was a really beautiful setting up on a hill. So, you had the beautiful view of Barcelona. And
thanks for the invite.
And the entire industry was there. It was really lovely to see old and new industry contacts. We were up for a couple of award nominations, and one of them was the digital signage, again at the Inavate Awards, again for the Ages product, but this time for the outdoor version. So
and talk to us about the outdoor version. So is that waterproof?
Yes, so it's fully IP rated for outdoor use, which is IP65. So snow, wind, rain, anything. It's a really strong solution that's designed to withstand these, rough weather conditions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you touched on a point just a bit further back, and I just want to go back to it, just with regards to the design and development of an idea using AV. You mentioned, particularly with Musion, that sometimes things can be really tricky to set up, and I think there's something that particularly our listeners would like to understand, because when you see something exciting, it's amazing, but there's so much work that goes into it, so much planning, so much design. Talk to us about your perspective on that. Why is it important to get that right?
Well, it is very important. From a live event perspective, for example, it's really important to have a product that's easy to install, that's lightweight, that it's just really easy to use. Because when you work under a lot of pressure on a live event, the last thing you want is a complicated thing that takes a lot of people and a lot of time. And if you don't get it right the first time, you have to sort of go back and fix it. And also, on doing permanent installs, even though you're doing a permanent install, you have your team on site for a limited period of time, and you've got a schedule to work according to. So that's why timing is very important, and being able to get things done quickly and efficiently on site is very important. So the LED Studio have designed cabinets that attach directly onto the wall. So there's no additional framework. You literally just connect it straight to the wall, and it's really easy and quick, fast installation.
And just with regards to the setup of the systems that you're using with LED Studio and the stuff that you used to do with Musion, is there any similarities there that you feel what you learned from your Musion experience you brought to the LED Studio with regards to production?
Yes, I think it's all in the planning, really, isn't it? It's just having a look at the time flow of your build and trying to identify any risks, any overlaps, ensuring that all the various teams are perfectly synchronized, and then keeping an eye on it closely, making sure everything's going according to plan, and, intervening if you need to, and, rescue, little rescue situations here and there. But I think, in my opinion, it's all in the pre-planning, really.
Absolutely. And both you and I come from the Musion world. It was kind of like the late noughties, early teens of 2000s, and same for me. I felt like there was so many challenges working there, but it taught me so much about how to be dynamic, how to be proactive, so that you don't have to be reactive at the last second. I think it's so every experience I've found working within AV shapes you, makes you a better AV professional. So I totally get that. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's not something that someone can teach you or train you.
Yeah.
It's you're only going to learn that on the job, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
baptism of fire.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you talked about you being based in Cyprus, and being a Romanian native, living in London and being based in Cyprus. You moved to Cyprus because of your family. What's it like? What's it like living there? How do you find it?
Yeah, well, it's a really amazing lifestyle, actually, living on a small Mediterranean island. Summer is about 8 to 10 months a year. So, and I live in Limassol, which is a really beautiful coastal town. I live 10 minutes away from the beach. So we get a really nice lifestyle of being able to go to the beach, being able to go for on family walks by the beach, and, dine al fresco, not being stuck in traffic, and having that extra time to spend on yourself and on your family. So taking our dog for walks, it's just a really amazing balance, living there, having that nice lifestyle, and then working on projects globally, and, coming out to ISE and other similar type industry events. I think I'm quite lucky to have that kind of balance.
Absolutely. So what has it done for your mental health, your mental well-being?
Well, it's obviously very, very positive. But so since moving to Cyprus, I've definitely got a lot into working out and just going to the gym, and I do dance classes and cardio.
Wow.
Yeah, so that also has a really amazing sort of positive impact on your well-being. But it's you have to sort of find that balance in life where overachieving is not necessarily a good thing, and we're always in this race of just achieving as much as possible, and then we forget to live in the process. And for me, it's finding those little moments in life where I'm present in the moment for my daughter, for my family, but then I'm really focused on a high profile event, and we deliver that really well, and then sort of going back to base and recharging my batteries again. So
absolutely, and I think it's something that should be highlighted. If you get that balance right, you will become more successful as a professional.
Yeah.
If you overwork yourself, it's just there's only so many hours in the day, and you do need to recharge and breathe and think, and reflect. And it's quite clear it's worked for you because you're doing so well.
Oh, thank you. No, absolutely.
It's really nice actually to see you, grow, particularly on LinkedIn, and also to meet you here and hear about these awards. It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
We're getting emotional. So let's talk about the accolades. We talked about some of the awards. You've been listed by Inavate within the 40 under 40 graduates of last year. How does that feel, and what has that done for your career?
It felt really great, to be recognized as one of the AV industries or in Inavate magazine's 40 under 40. It's quite nice when you work really hard, and a lot of the times you're behind the scenes and people don't know, the kind of things you do and, the projects that you pull together. So it's quite nice to receive that sort of recognition. And then in terms of what it's done for me, it's been really great in terms of networking and, getting together with other Inavate 40 under 40 and, creating this community, but also bringing me to the forefront of the industry a little bit. It's sort of brought the spotlight on me. And, that's great when you work in sales. It's a really great tool to sort of network and meet potential business opportunities.
Absolutely. And I feel, this industry, the audiovisual industry, is massive. It's huge. And, even some of the biggest heavyweights within the industry really struggle to highlight the successes of what they do. And it's great that, Inavate are doing these types of things. And it's really good to hear what it's done for you. Just with regards to that community, so have you met new people within those 40 people, and you've developed working relationships with them or professional relationships with them?
Yes. So we're definitely keeping in touch and meeting at networking events and industry events. So whilst it's a big industry and it feels big, you actually realize that you get to know everyone very quickly, and it's sort of, and then you sort of end up meeting the same people, at all of the events. It's been really good.
Awesome. Just going back to your. You talked about you were doing was it a financial degree?
Yes.
Where did you study?
I went to Westminster University, which is in. So I went to the Baker Street campus. And
just with regards to that skill set, how has that helped you within this current industry that you're working in?
Well, I think finance is really one of those basic degrees that can get you into anywhere, really. Sort of having that financial sense really helps in any sort of role, because there's budget planning, whether you're in marketing and you're budget planning, or whether you're in sales and you're putting together detailed proposals, and the awareness that comes with a finance degree of, okay, these are my budgets, what do I do with them, and what's the best return on my investment? It makes you more self-aware of where you spend your finances on, or how do you bring the finances in, which are really the lifeline of a business. So just giving you that sort of commercial sense and awareness of, how do you keep a business alive and how do you make it successful?
Well, it's so important because, there's so much creativity in this sector. And particularly when we worked at Musion, I met so many people that had some really great creative ideas, but they and I'm sure it's changed, but majority of them didn't really have a grasp on how to make this happen from a financial perspective, because things cost money, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of the clients I work with, now when I have conversations with them, we talk about money, and it's fine because it's business, and it's professional. But I remember like back then, like when we'd have to speak to someone, they see the technology, they love it, they get really excited by it. And one of the key things I learned from being at Museum was figuring out how to understand if there was any money or not, which is quite clear you understand that because of your background, but also because of where you are now. Do you still struggle with that navigation when you meet a potential client?
No, I don't. Actually, no. I think you find that after a while, people don't have time to waste anymore.
Yeah.
So they're like, have you got the budget? Yes, no. Or, what are you trying to achieve? And how can we make your budget, deliver what it is that you're trying to achieve? It's very different. So, selling LED is different to selling holograms, because holograms are niche and they provide a wow factor that's difficult to put a price on. So when we worked with big brands, they had to decide, well, is our return on investment going to be good? And most of the times we know what a wow factor it delivered, and things went viral and deliver some insane results. So it's always finding that balance, of giving the customer a good value for money. Yeah,
and I guess at LED Studio, the clientele is a lot more diverse. They have a lot more different kind of needs, because obviously with the holographics, it's either hologram or nothing, but within the LED space, is there a lot more room for you to navigate creatively?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's different types of LED products for different types of applications. So, if you're doing an XR studio or a TV studio, you'd need something, a product that has a specific set of technological capabilities. Whereas if you're doing a more simple project, such as, a retail or like wayfinding and sort of more easy digital signage, it's a different type of product. And also due to its modular type, you can build huge walls or you can build small walls. So yes, you definitely have more flexibility in offering customers a product that works with their budget in terms of LED.
And what? How does that work with you being in Cyprus when you're like pitching, when you're working with a client and trying to get them trying to understand their idea and finding the solution? Like, do you like? I'm assuming all the products are like designed in the UK. Is that right?
Yes. So the LED Studio designs and engineers its own range of signature products, which, like I said, are very much focused on sustainability and simplicity. And then they are manufactured in China via our manufacturing partner, VOD Visual.
Okay.
And sorry, what was your question again?
Apologies. Yeah. So, how do you stay in, because you're not based in the UK?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. How do you stay in touch with that development? Are you like coming to, the UK a lot and having a look at what's going on, or do you work closely with the creative team to hear what's like? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're quite a global. Thanks. So we're quite a global team.
Yeah.
And a very sort of dynamic team. So it's we work in a very centralized way, where the UK headquarters has sort of the base, the foundation that the rest of the territories are built in. So we all refer back to the UK HQ.
Okay.
So when we have a project, we would work with the technical department in the UK, and then work on a technical solution for a client and put together a pitch and a proposal. So we work with the UK team, and then on a lot of occasions you end up pitching against the competition. So it's looking at things like running total cost of ownership calculations, where on the face of it, a lot of the times the product can look cheaper, but then when you start to dig deeper into the technical abilities of the product and the power consumption and the lifespan of a product, and the quality, how often does it require maintenance trips? When you run a 10-year total cost of ownership, most of the times it turns out our product is actually cheaper.
Right.
So getting into all these kind of exercises and educating the customer on, making a choice, making the right choice for the right project, and it's not always the same one. So
And you touched on something really important there, with regards to like how you need to impress the value of what you're bringing to the client ultimately, because that is an art form in itself as well. You know, there's particularly in this country, not this country, in the UK, some people, I mean, in the States it's different, but some people kind of sneer at sales, but like getting us understanding how to sell, and like Steve Jobs from Apple, he was a salesperson. You know, I mean, obviously he was a technology visionary, but he was a salesperson. He knew how to sell emerging technology to the masses, and that art form is not simple, and if you crack that, you impress the value to the client, and they understand what they're getting, and they see the value in that, then they're going to buy into it. Yeah,
no, definitely. You know, absolutely. And it's an, I think selling LEDs an education piece with the client. It's sort of going through the sort of making them understand the benefits of LED, you almost become like a consultant, you know, advising them. And there are many times where we say, you know, that's not an LED product, so we're not going to pitch for this project because we feel other products are more suitable. So always having that sort of level of honesty, you know, where you have to say, I have to step away because that project is not for me, and being a trusted advisor to your customer, and that's one of the values that we want to add at the LED studio.
Amazing. Andreea, we're starting to come towards the end of this podcast. I feel like we can talk forever. We need to go and get a drink. I think we're doing that tomorrow, aren't we?
Yes.
But no, it's been really good talking to you. A couple of questions just before we end the podcast. First one, which is quite a deep one, is what advice would you give yourself now if you met yourself when you just started to get into the industry?
Sure. So let's see. Well, I think the first thing is that, like I said at the beginning, I've never really expected that I would end up in the AV industry. So I think always keep your options open, because you don't know when the right opportunity will come up. So that's one piece of advice. And I think also that the AV and tech industry is constantly changing and evolving. So you have to be prepared to change with it. I always thought I would remain sort of on the finance and marketing side of things. And then seeing my colleagues in the sales work so closely with very exciting customers, and seeing my technical colleagues developing, you know, doing world first projects and pushing boundaries of the technology, it really excited me, and it opened my eyes to something I wasn't really aware of before. So I think just be prepared to evolve and to sort of develop into the role that's right for you, where you feel like you can really add value and flourish in that role. And also, you know, there are times in emerging markets that are very difficult. But if you believe in yourself and the technology that you are working with, the exciting times always exceed the difficult periods. So be prepared to develop yourself, really.
Amazing. I really appreciate that. I know a lot of people listening will get a lot of value from that. Usually the people I speak to only have like one thing, but you had like a list. So that's brilliant. So there's going to be loads of value. Andreea, it's been brilliant. If anyone wants to contact you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I can be found on LinkedIn. So that's Andreea Timis, or my email address is Andreea with the double E, Andreea at theledstudio.com, or just pop over to our booth, which is 3R250.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and get this podcast live today. So if anyone's listening and they're at ISE, go and see Andreea. She's going to look after you. All right. Well, Andreea, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Sanj. It's been really lovely catching up with you.
No worries. Those of you listening, thanks so much for your time. I know we haven't done a podcast since last ISE, but that's just the way it is. I hope you're proud of the fact that I got someone amazing for you for episode 28. If you're sharing, please make sure you use the hashtag Tiger Heart Chats, all one word. Subscribe, like, follow, leave a message. It's all good. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please be good.